We are taught to define habit using simple, visible metrics: brushing your teeth, checking your phone, taking the same route to work even when traffic reports advise otherwise. These are the visible scripts. They occupy the surface layer of existence, easy to track, easy to measure, easy, in theory, to break. But these surface movements are only shadows cast by something far deeper, something foundational. Beneath the quantifiable routines of your daily life, there operates a silent, deeply embedded architecture, an invisible habit that does not govern what you do, but how you feel. It dictates the emotional temperature of your relationships. It preselects the nature of your eventual disappointment. It is the invisible gravitational constant pulling you back, always, to the same energetic center. This habit is not the action itself. It is the predictable emotional outcome you repeatedly construct. Think about the moments when you have achieved clarity, the genuine, hard-won belief that this time will be different. A new job, a new city, a new relationship, a complete overhaul of lifestyle. You stand on the precipice of change, certain that the past is finally irrelevant. And yet, 6 months later, or a year later, you find yourself staring across the room at a scenario you thought you had escaped. The same stifling feeling, the same argument, the same sense of frantic, exhausted effort yielding the identical, frustrating result. We tend to attribute this recurrence to external factors, bad luck, the fundamental unreliability of other people. But the pattern is too precise for coincidence. It is too reliable to be mere fate. It is a habit of return. We must move beyond the definition of habit as physical repetition. This hidden compulsion resides in the emotional memory. It lives in the limbic system, where safety is not defined by thriving, but by predictability. For the core of the self, especially the self forged in early dependency, the worst thing is not pain. The worst thing is the unexpected. So, the psyche, in its infinite efficiency, learns to prefer the pain it can anticipate. It establishes an emotional blueprint. This blueprint is built on an echo. It is an echo chamber of familiar relational dynamics. If the defining dynamic of your early life involved constant striving for recognition that never arrived, your pattern will be one of perpetual, unrewarded effort. If the core dynamic was abrupt, confusing abandonment, your invisible habit will compel you to create scenarios that necessitate preemptive withdrawal, to leave before you are left. This is the gravitational pull of the known. Your system interprets the predictable feeling, even if that feeling is anxiety, scarcity, or deep relational mistrust, as home. Home is where the survival instructions reside. And the invisible habit is the mechanism that ensures you never stray too far from those original instructions. It is the loyal, unconscious servant, ensuring that the emotional climate of your present always, eventually, matches the emotional climate of your past. How does this mechanism operate in real time? It operates through subtle, often undetectable, filtering of choices. Consider the moment you meet a potential partner or take a new job opportunity. Consciously, you are searching for growth, stability, difference. Unconsciously, the invisible habit is searching for resonance. It looks for the precise combination of traits, vulnerabilities, or unavailability that allows the old script to run again. If your script requires you to feel perpetually unseen, you will be drawn with undeniable magnetic certainty toward individuals who possess the latent capacity to overlook you. If your script demands conflict and high drama for you to feel emotionally activated, you will reject the quiet, stable possibility, finding it inert, finding it boring, lacking the requisite tension your nervous system recognizes as vital. We mistake this internal resonance for chemistry. We call it fate, or a spark, or undeniable compatibility. It is not compatibility. It is familiarity. And familiarity is the trigger. The moment of truth often hides in the signature emotion. Every loop has one. It is the feeling you reliably generate when the cycle is nearing its apex. For some, it is the righteous, exhausted indignation of being wronged again. For others, it is the cold, isolating clarity of disappointment. For many, it is the brittle, hyper-vigilant anticipation that precedes the inevitable collapse. That signature emotion, however painful, becomes the psychological reward. It closes the loop. It says to the system, We have successfully returned to the parameters of the known world. We are safe because we predicted this. This is where the conscious effort fails. You can implement all the mindful strategies in the world. You can repeat affirmations. You can read the books. But when the invisible habit requires its payment, when it demands the return to its signature emotion, the conscious mind is simply overwritten. The emotional infrastructure of the past is stronger than the intellectual aspirations of the present, and the sabotage is always subtle. It looks like an accident. It looks like an overreaction you regret instantly. It looks like a small omission or a slight delay that causes the entire carefully built structure to crumble exactly as it did before. And then there is the familiar, strangely comforting sting of the signature emotion. The trap has been sprung and the system exhales. If you want to track this habit, you cannot track actions. You must track the moments where you deliberately, but unconsciously, shrink the field of possibility. Consider a decision point where you had multiple options. One open, challenging, and unfamiliar. The other tight, known, and inherently limiting. The visible habit might be choosing the job that underpays you. The invisible habit is the sudden, overwhelming anxiety that floods your system at the prospect of negotiating for your worth. That anxiety is the pattern defending itself. It is the internal guardian standing at the gateway of change, whispering that the unknown is lethal. It reminds you that the familiar cage, however rusted, has a latch you already understand. This is why genuine self-improvement often feels like a constant battle against an internal saboteur you can never locate. Because the saboteur is not a flaw. The saboteur is the oldest, most foundational version of yourself, fiercely protective of the parameters that allowed you to survive the initial emotional landscape. We use external circumstances as the justification for our internal return. We say, "I am disorganized because I have too much work." The pattern says, "I ensure I have too much work, so I have a reliable justification for the disorganized chaos that feels familiar to my nervous system." We say, "I push people away because they always disappoint me." The pattern says, "I select those I know will eventually necessitate a push because true, sustained connection is a terrifying variable." We are operating under the illusion of cause and effect. But often, the effect is designed to generate the cause. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy, managed not by intention, but by the relentless, unconscious need for emotional repetition. To be truly free from this invisible habit is to accept a profound and disorienting form of terror. It means choosing an outcome that your emotional memory has no reference point for. It means achieving a level of peace, security, or stability that feels fundamentally wrong. When the system achieves true stability, the pattern interprets it as a lack of tension. And for a system wired for vigilance, a lack of tension is read as a prelude to imminent catastrophic danger. So, the sabotage accelerates in moments of apparent calm. It creates chaos, not out of malice, but out of a desperate attempt to restore the familiar baseline of moderate, manageable distress. Imagine the nervous system is a musical instrument tuned only to certain frequencies of drama or neglect. When a stable, harmonious note is played, the instrument resists. It sounds flat or discordant, or it simply refuses to vibrate. The invisible habit demands the note it knows. The high, thin wail of anxiety, the dull thrum of waiting for the inevitable withdrawal. When we begin to consciously observe this, the process is excruciating. Observation does not equal cessation. It simply introduces the painful awareness of choice at the moment the pattern is initiating. You can see yourself clearly reaching for the familiar ignition switch of the old dynamic. You see the words forming that will guarantee the argument. You see the email being typed that will destabilize the necessary collaboration. And in that split second, you understand the mechanism. But the gravitational pull is immense. It is decades of neurological wiring. It is the path of least resistance. To choose against it is to feel, truly, as though you are stepping off a cliff in the dark, because you are rejecting the very emotional language through which you learned to navigate the world. You are choosing a script where the outcome is entirely uncertain. Breaking the invisible habit is not about adding a new positive action. It is about enduring the terrifying internal vacuum created by not repeating the familiar, destructive reaction. It is about sitting in the absence of the signature emotion. When the situation arises that would normally call forth the rage or the fear, or the despair, and you deliberately choose silence or compassion or simple presence, the system panics. It screams that you are exposing yourself. It insists that safety is gone. And this internal distress, this sense of impending doom, is the true withdrawal symptom of the invisible habit. Most people mistake this panic for confirmation that they are making the wrong choice. They interpret the extreme internal discomfort as danger, and they quickly revert to the familiar pattern to quiet the system down. They rush back to the known argument. They quickly re-establish the familiar emotional distance. They choose the limiting certainty over the boundless discomfort of the unpredictable healing. The habit restores the equilibrium, and the cycle continues, invisible and powerful. If you want to see the architecture of your return, pay attention to the exact moment you feel most entitled to self-pity or most energized by self-justification. That feeling, that intense, satisfying emotional charge, is the pattern claiming victory. It is the moment you have successfully engineered the scenario necessary to prove your oldest belief about the world. That you are alone, that you are misunderstood. That effort is futile. That moment of confirmation, however bitter, is the reward the pattern seeks. It is the psychological equivalent of the dopamine hit. And to refuse that hit, to stand there in the chaos you did not create and refuse to stabilize yourself by triggering the familiar breakdown, is the only way forward. It is a constant, subtle effort. It is recognizing the precise mechanism of your own emotional gravity. It is accepting that the most comfortable feeling you know might also be the highest barrier to your freedom. And now, having seen the shadow, having tracked the loop, we are left only with the silence of the observation and the knowledge that the script is still running. The control is still questioned. The pull is still there, waiting for the next predictable return.